to do, first of all, is to share with you my sense of urgency. I think we are at a pivotal moment in human history. We are faced with so many challenges all coming at the same time. I wonder whether ever in human history so many global challenges came together at one time. We're faced with the pandemic, which of course is in everybody's mind today, but this is not the only challenge we have. We are faced with a climate crisis without precedent, a biodiversity crisis. We could lose 1 million species if we don't change our ways. And we're in the middle of an industrial revolution that affects every single human being everywhere on the planet. And then, of course, things are changing very quickly on demographics, economy, etc. So it's a very dynamic situation. And we have, I would argue, only a short window of opportunity to set the world on the right track to reach a situation where we can create prosperity and well-being for the whole of humanity, whilst still living within planetary boundaries. And sadly, today, if we continue like we're doing now, we're not within planetary boundaries, and we're set for some serious accidents. Especially the climate crisis and the biodiversity crisis could take us to a couple of tipping points very quickly if we don't limit the rise of the temperature, if we don't limit the disappearance of species. We might reach some tipping points that would take us over the edge, and then humanity would no longer be in control of its own destiny. Look already what's happening now with 1 degree of temperature rise. We used to talk about once in a decade, once in a generation, storms, droughts, floods, heat waves. They seem to be occurring every year, or even twice a year, 3 times a year, even also in the Gulf region. Our nature is being destroyed by human behavior and by changing weather patterns. The bleaching of coral reef in the Red Sea is a case in point. It is accelerating at a really worrying speed. Again, if we continue as we do today, lives will be upended, land will become unproductive, and all our economies will lose trillions, and we will have serious conflict over water. Sometimes too much water, but very often not enough water. The COVID crisis would pale in comparison. And unlike in the pandemic, where we will overcome it once everybody has access to a vaccine, there is no vaccine for climate change. There is no vaccine for the biodiversity crisis. So we really have to change our ways in a fundamental way, all of us. I think also those who say that things should stay as they are. If you want things to stay as they are, everything will have to change, because if things you value, our values, our way of life, our economic prosperity, they can only continue if we change our ways. That's the essence of the European Green Deal, as I would say. It is our new growth strategy. We want to be the first continent to reach climate neutrality by 2050. We aim to make things better for the health and well-being of all and for our joint economic prosperity. We do this to promote a more just society and a competitive and green economy that offers everyone in Europe and beyond the opportunity for a healthy, sustainable future. Already, the ranks of the Net Zero Club are growing. It was a lonely place at the end of 2019, but now Japan has joined the EU and has adopted the 2050 climate neutrality goal. Others aim to achieve net zero emissions around mid-century: South Africa, South Korea, China. Canada announced a new law on climate neutrality, and President Biden has indicated that the US will move in the same direction. And I'm speaking to my American counterpart, John Kerry, almost on a weekly basis. He will come to Brussels also next week. There is finally a sense of a global momentum emerging towards keeping the promise of the Paris Agreement and securing our future on this planet. Net zero emission is becoming the new normal mid-century. And I think that is something everybody can adhere to. And yes, decarbonization will have effects on existing fossil fuel business models. But decarbonization is happening, and it's happening faster than ever before. Look at the investment patterns we see worldwide. Those who try to postpone the inevitable could do so for a little while, but the only thing they will get is higher cost of transition. And they will risk putting their money in what will be stranded assets in the future. No government can tackle climate change alone. But together, we can make sure to use COP26 in Glasgow to put the world on track towards a more sustainable future. I think we owe this to our children and to our grandchildren. I think we need to rediscover the beauty of planting trees without having the ambition to sit in the shadows of those trees or to ripe the fruits of those trees for ourselves. Sometimes it's nice to plant a tree and that only your kids and your grandkids can then profit from the shadow. What I see also in Saudi Arabia, a country where 70% of the population is under 30 years old, is, as His Royal Highness has said, an incredible human potential to take not just the country, but the whole region into a sustainable future. So much talent, so much academic success everywhere, so much ambition to be leaders. And I also see a country that is taking up the challenge of progressive energy transition and diversifying its economy away from fossil fuel production. I applaud Saudi Arabia's ambition to become the largest supplier of hydrogen in the world. This is a race we're all in. It's fun to be in a race where it doesn't really matter who wins, as long as everybody moves in the right direction. Your solar energy program to deliver 50% of electricity from renewable sources by 2030. There's not that many European countries that will be in that situation then. I believe Europe and Saudi Arabia should work hand in hand on these important priorities and combine forces to speed up hydrogen investments. Let me be clear. Europe believes that this transition goes beyond energy. And as the world comes out of the COVID pandemic, we have to grasp the opportunity to build back better. Yes, we need more sustainable energy products. Yes, we need new energy infrastructure and low carbon industries working with hydrogen and carbon capture, use and storage. And we need unalienable to every person on Earth. For we do not attempt to save the planet for the planet itself. By the way, the planet doesn't need saving. Humanity needs saving from itself. Humanity needs to learn to live within planetary boundaries. And this will only succeed if the transition is just. If transition doesn't have the same effect as most crises, which is making rich people richer and poor people poorer. We need to make sure this transition takes along all of society. And I'm not just talking within countries. I'm especially talking between countries. And I think we have a case in point now with vaccines. This will be a showcase for whether there is something like international solidarity. Anyway, net zero transition means that we should turn the page on energy security and economic models based on fossil fuels and move towards more inclusive societies and economic development based on interconnections, a future based on cooperation rather than conflict. We're witnessing a promising wave of innovative policies and investments in the Middle East and North Africa region, which show the will to introduce a paradigm shift towards diversification and greener growth models. And you are such young societies. I mean, young people are just waiting to embrace the possibilities. We've seen investments in green hydrogen in Morocco, the issuing of green bonds in Egypt, and futuristic projects like NEOM and The Line in Saudi Arabia. We think these are really important steps in the right direction. Let's not make the mistake of a failure of imagination. The existential crises we are facing are real. So let's not fear of thinking big either. Over 1 year ago, we were the first region, Europe, in the world to commit to net zero by mid-century. Today, countries representing more than 65% of global carbon dioxide emissions and more than 70% of the world economy have commitments to carbon neutrality. We need Saudi Arabia to be a leader, a real leader in joining this club, strengthen this international critical mass, and help put the world on the right track and bring your knowledge and your analysis to the table so that we can all profit from it. If we work together and we can make this transition a reality, our children will be grateful. If we miss the opportunity in the years to come, and I'm talking about the next couple of years, our children, sadly, will never forgive us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Timmermans. Now let me turn to Her Excellency Tinne van der Straten, the Minister of Energy of Belgium. Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Secretary General McMonagall, and dear Ambassador Simonet, and Your Royal Highness, and all your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, picture this. We're in 2030. You stand in front of the open window in your office, looking down the city. Clear skies and no smog. The smell of fresh air tells you that spring is coming. You hear birds chirping as electric cars, buses, and trucks drive quietly through the streets. You maybe vaguely remember that only a few years before, you would never have opened the window during rush hour because the air was too full of dust from diesel and exhaust gases, and the sound of motorized vehicles was so loud you could barely concentrate. You vaguely remember that insufficiently insulated windows made either the heating or the air conditioning your best friend, depending on the weather. And you realize the energy transition has changed our lives. We barely noticed it while it was happening. But now you know that it's about so much more than an imperative to fight climate change. It's about comfort, it's about health, it's about the quality of life. The energy transition, with its integration of different technologies, has made our lives better. Ladies and gentlemen, 2030 is now. If we want this image to become a reality, we, as policy leaders, need to act now. We need to invest today in the energy infrastructure of tomorrow. Remember what happened in 1945, at the end of the Second World War. People had hope and they believed in a better future. In Europe, this was a moment we built infrastructure such as harbors, airports, highways, electricity and gas networks. This public spending is the bedrock on which we have built a prosperous society, and we continue to reap the benefits of it. In 1951, in the wake of the Second World War, a crucial decision was made: the creation of the European Coal and Steel Community. Belgium was one of the 6 founding countries. This cooperation was considered as nothing less than a real peace treaty. And what happened in 1951 is also happening today. In 1951, we introduced coal and steel. But with the Green Deal, we are living a paradigm shift from a fossil-driven energy to a technology-driven one, clean and affordable. Yet again, energy is serving as a catalyst for change. In 1951 with coal and steel, in 2020 with the Green Deal. The big difference with the past is that the battlefield is now laying in front of us. It is even more dangerous and global. It is climate change. Once more, energy will play the leading role in overcoming this challenge. When the COVID crisis will have passed and economic activity picks up at full speed, do we go back to business as usual? Or do we make use of this crisis to push the fast forward button? Do we choose to implement faster structural changes in the way we produce and consume energy to invest in our comfort? Will we step up investments in renewable electricity production and look for more sustainable alternatives to fossil fuels? Will we develop the necessary network infrastructure and smart technologies? I think the answer is clear. No matter how we toss or how we turn it, there is no escape. We need to invest massively the coming years. And while our doctors and health workers battle the pandemic, it is our responsibility to lay out a framework for a sustainable and green recovery. A green recovery is the vaccine for our economy. So how can Belgium, as a small country, contribute? Belgium's strategic advantage is not the presence of raw materials. We don't have mountains for hydropower. We don't have oil or gas fields in our subsurface. But we have something else. We are a land of pioneers. We have expertise and we have passion. We are not afraid to use it and we are not afraid to innovate. We are the 4th country worldwide in offshore wind. I had the opportunity to go at sea for myself and see in first hand the assembly of a wind turbine. Dedicated teams worked hard in difficult circumstances due to the COVID-19 crisis to finish our most recent offshore wind farm. And this is only the beginning. We will double our installed capacity, and we will be looking for additional capacity in our waters and beyond. As part of the Belgian post-COVID recovery plans, we will create an energy island in the North Sea. It will serve as an energy hub, opening up a whole range of different possibilities. From linking electricity interconnectors with other countries, such as the envisaged interconnectors with Denmark or the UK, to hosting 5G antennas or being a production hub of green hydrogen. In short, the North Sea has the potential to become one big renewable energy plant. And if we think about the sea, we inevitably think about water. Water, the most abundant element on Earth. And here is when hydrogen comes in, a clean, non-polluting fuel from water. Ladies and gentlemen, the energy transition is not based on green electrons only. Green molecules will be part of the deal too. Hydrogen will play a crucial role in decarbonizing energy-intensive sectors. And we have in Belgium a strong industrial base, with the second largest petrochemical cluster worldwide. The manufacturing industry is the backbone of our economy. These industries are crucial partners for the transition, and therefore it's crucial we support them in the transition to a carbon-neutral economy. Renewable hydrogen as an industrial feedstock is one of the solutions. Without it, there is no chance that we can cut emissions to zero. So if we want renewable hydrogen to make a real contribution in 2030, we have to start now. And to succeed, we need to cooperate with our partners across the globe. As I said earlier, Belgium's strategic advantage is not the presence of raw materials. We are not the most sunny country neither. Even if the potential of sun in our country is relatively high, a photovoltaic panel on a Belgian roof will never yield as much electricity as one that is bathing in the Middle Eastern sun. Imagine the amount of electricity or even hydrogen that could be produced in the region around the Red Sea, where sun and water come together. So it's clear that energy offers new opportunities for cooperation, not only within the EU, but also with our neighbors in Northern Africa and the Middle East. We have been trading fossil fuels for decades, and Belgium will also, in this energy transition, still rely on imports. Only it is time for our trade cooperation to undergo the energy transition and move from fossil fuels to renewable energy such as hydrogen. In turn, Belgium can offer expertise and technology in the field of renewable energy. Furthermore, Belgium is located in the heart of Europe at an energy crossroads. And my aim is to create a hydrogen backbone in the heart of our industrial clusters and those of our neighboring countries. This backbone will be the foundation for international connections. And with our offshore energy hub and our onshore port of Zeebrugge, Belgium is the gate to the Northern and Central European energy markets. Ladies and gentlemen, Belgium was part of the founding countries of European Energy Cooperation. We have shown that when we join forces, we can achieve almost anything. And this is precisely what we need to do today. Join forces by forming strategic partnerships. Every step in the societal evolution until today is accompanied by changes in energy commodities, from kindling fire to peat and coal over oil and gas. Energy is the lifeline of our society, of our welfare, the driver of our industries. We all know that the Stone Age didn't end because of the lack of stones. The Stone Age ended because there were new and better technologies available. So let's invest in alternatives before we're out of resources. Let's invest today in our energy infrastructure of tomorrow, together, with the European Commission, with other EU countries, partner countries around the globe, and with our industries and companies, because 2030 is now. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Minister. May I turn to His Excellency Tarek El Molla, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources from Egypt. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I have to start by thanking you for inviting me to this important 5th IEF EU Energy and Climate Day. I have to say that Egypt, as a beginning, is really committed to the transition and to have a sustainable energy future, definitely. And we were part of the Paris Agreement. We have done a lot in order to have our fuel and energy transition of choice, the gas. Accordingly, we've been working since few years in accelerating and investing a lot for accelerating our gas projects in order to reach a position where we could have some self-sufficiency. Afterwards, with the self-sufficiency, we could be able to really work hard in generating added value through this less intense carbon emission power of energy, by which we were able to shift and transfer most of our gas-fired electrical power plants to gas-fired plants. We've been able to accelerate and to expand the household network grid connections to more than 12 million households. We are also trying to improve the usage of gas as a fuel. So we are launching a national project for CNG for vehicles. At the same time, we are committed to the energy mix and the diversification, whereby, as you know, also Egypt is a country where we have a lot of sun, and we have developed many solar projects as well as wind projects as well. So we have a lot of ambitions to reach electricity generated by renewables by the year 2030 to reach 42%, and the balance will be generated by natural gas. At the same time, we've been able to do some good energy strategies, MOUs with the EU, signed back with the Energy Commissioner in 2018. At the same time, we are working with both Germany and Belgium regarding hydrogen strategy development, and we are progressing in that field. But knowing at the same time that the importance of the transition to a clean and sustainable energy, we believe very much of the importance of the cooperation and coordination among the countries. So having said so, we have initiated a very important initiative with regard to have how we can maximize the use of a less intense fossil resource, which would be the natural gas. Therefore, we have initiated the foundation of the establishment of the East Mediterranean Gas Forum in order to use it as a platform for the region and to accelerate the monetization of the resource in the Eastern Mediterranean producing countries, at the same time for the welfare of the countries in the East Mediterranean. At the same time, would be a source of reliable supply to Europe for a transition energy as gas. At the same time, producing different ways of energy, having less low carbon emissions as well. So our belief and our coordination in not only being an East Mediterranean country and North African country as well, an important cross-traffic ways between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean basin is also something that we are capitalizing on with a dedication and commitment to have a quick, sustainable energy future to the country and to the region as well. And you rightly said that we have been able to issue green bonds lately, and this was a demonstration that we are committed and that we can be able to put projects together that are addressing clean and green energy ones. I think that we are on the right track, but this important and ambitious plan to the global needs more and more coordination and more support from developed countries to developing countries and so forth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Amola. Now I think we have some questions for the minister, so I'll take the first crack here. This one is for Your Royal Highness. You spoke of your ambitions to turn Saudi Arabia into a powerhouse for clean energy. I'm wondering if you can explain the plans you have to bring renewables to a traditional hydrocarbon hub like the Kingdom.
Well, we believe that we can do all of the above type of approach. We are well endowed with so many natural resources. One of them is, of course, our hydrocarbons, which is in the form of oil and gas. We are also well endowed with a good sizable amount of bright days and nights, bright even nights with batteries. But we're striking good low electricity prices on our solar and wind projects. I believe that within the next month or so, we will dazzle the entire world with how cheap we're gonna get our solar electricity for. In NEOM already, the project is up and running. Well, the economics of it are sound, and I will leave that for Fadi and Sefi to talk about it. I don't want to take steam away from their own presentation, but already they sold that ammonia. It's gone. It was bought by the Japanese. But we have the sun, we have as Her Excellency, we have the sun and we have the water, and the Red Sea is packed with good amount of water. And we can, and just keep them coming. If Europe would like to buy more hydrogen, Saudi green hydrogen, we will be more than even an apt, if the economics allow, for even piping it all the way to somewhere in Europe. We're working hard also on our blue hydrogen because we have a good amount of gas and we can convert it, and it's going to be sold everywhere. We also want to make sure that we keep our balance right, which means that yes, we will continue using hydrocarbon in the form of oil and oil products. As our friend from Belgium, we have a very serious and ambitious program, and I can't wait to be in Europe and share it with Your Excellency and our friend from the Commission. It is all win-win, triple win, or quadruple win situation. We will produce oil, we will convert it into products, and these products will be converted into mainly chemicals and other things. We have established a huge, good record of how we can monetize or produce our crude oil in the most, I think, exemplary way with regard to emissions. What we are challenging us now is to move actually from the conventional ways of consuming oil to one where we can become with everybody innovative, and we are working with the who's who in that, to ensure that these hydrocarbons will be put better use, in different use. And it is all about looking at it as material. and the conversion of hydrocarbon into useful materials that can be used in many ways and aspects of our life, yet mindful of the issue of emission and reduction of emission. And I believe the circular carbon economy can deliver us all this ambition and also this goal. I think what we need to do is to be just a bit flexible and mindful of the diversity of the participants and their priorities. If we are to congregate, I think, around the concept of we are all for attending to emission reduction of all sources, of all sectors, if that ambition become our common goal and common objective, and we enable everybody to use whatever tools they have in their kit existing today, or willing to spend the money to develop the technologies either individually or collaboratively, I think we'll be in a good shape. To try to strike too many goals in one, which is to decarbonize for the purpose of decarbonizing without being mindful of how much that may impact the world economy and how much it would not be that persuasive to get the proper collaboration of others, is something to be reconsidered and to be recognized. I realize that, for example, in the case of Europe, there is a case for so-called decarbonization. But you need, as Your Excellency Franz Timmermans, you said this is a globe and this is a world. And for the world to attend to this situation, you need to bring everybody on board, and you need to be mindful of their priorities, and you need to be mindful of how much they were endowed with. But I can guarantee you that we're opening our hands and hearts and minds to work with everybody to bring solutions and move forward with these ambitions, but with a difference. We're not bragging about it. We're not talking about it. We are executing these things, and we are providing people with examples, and we will continue, I would say, endeavor to say, dazzle you and impress you that we mean what we say. Trust us, but more importantly, collaborate with us to bring universal solutions that can enable people to say, we can be a party to this because we can buy into this.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Question to His Excellency Franz Timmermans on hydrogen. Hydrogen, as far as we can hear it today as well, would be the missing link between renewable and fossil fuel technologies that could hold great promise to decarbonize the energy sector. We have, as EU, we have an hydrogen strategy which states the very ambitious goals of up to 10 million tons of renewable hydrogen in the EU by 2030. So, Your Excellency, could you elaborate on the external dimension of the EU's hydrogen strategy and the trade and investment opportunities that you could see with the EU's trading partners in the Middle East and the Gulf? Thank you.
Well, I thank you for the question. I have to say that hydrogen is an essential component of decarbonizing our economy and reaching climate neutrality by 2050, because we have sectors of our economy that are very difficult to abate, will not be able to operate on electricity alone. Think of the steel industry, the cement industry, think of heavy transport, think of aircraft, think of shipping, and hydrogen could provide for a reliable fuel and also a fuel that has no carbon footprint. Secondly, hydrogen will be, much of the renewable energy generated in Europe will be generated in places where it is not needed or only partially needed, especially offshore wind, which has an incredible potential. And there Europe, I think, has a lot to offer to the world in terms of technology, but also solar. So we will have to transport the energy generated there to other parts of the world in Europe. And to carry that energy somewhere else, hydrogen is one of the best solutions as a storage of energy and as a way of transporting energy. Now, if that happens also in Europe, just imagine the potential of hydrogen, green, I'm talking about green hydrogen generation in places where there's so much sun that solar energy has a huge yield. And then if we have existing infrastructure to transport fossil fuel now over long distances, adapting that infrastructure to also be able to carry, to transport hydrogen in the future or other decarbonated gases, it's only 25% of the cost of creating a completely new infrastructure for renewable energy. So also in the transition from fossil fuels to renewables, hydrogen can play a facilitating role. And also in parts of Europe, the transition away from coal and wood as an energy source to renewables is not going to go in one step. Natural gas will play an intermediary role in that. And if natural gas plays an intermediary role, you need infrastructure. If you pre-fit that infrastructure for hydrogen, you invest also in the future after natural gas. And for some parts in the world, the sound decarbonizing of natural gas is going to be an element of the energy mix of the future. We've made, I remember the early days when we started to talk about CCS. We were always linking it to coal, and it did not work, frankly. But now that we're seeing it in a different context, especially in relation to natural gas, carbon capture, storage and use is becoming an incredibly interesting component of how we reduce our carbon footprint. And I know that Saudi Arabia and other countries in the Gulf region have made enormous strides in that direction as well, as have some European countries. So I would think that it would create, because when I say this, my critics will say, well, you are creating new dependency on external energy providers. But I would say interdependency is one of the fundamental components of stability and security. The Belgian minister, Tina, was just referring to the fact that the whole thing started with coal and steel in Europe. Why? Because we needed to create interdependency. We needed the Germans to know exactly how much coal and steel the French were producing and vice versa, which reduced the tensions between the countries and created a huge solidarity at the European scale, which is the basis of the European Union. And I think if you look at the wider Mediterranean region, I think on the basis of renewable energy, we could have the same form of interdependency that would provide for more stability for a wider region. Certainly also if you look at the other challenges which are linked to climate change, such as water shortage, droughts, etc., but also looking at demographic developments. Let me stop here.
Thank you, Your Excellency. You mentioned Minister van der Straten, so I have a question for her also. In your remarks, you referred to partnerships, and wondering if you could elaborate more on what you meant by that.
Thank you. About partnerships, I see this at many different levels. Climate change is a global phenomenon, and therefore we also need a global solution. And partnerships can take form under different forms. And a very concrete example could be our electricity interconnectors. So we have only recently, a few weeks ago, signed a memorandum of understanding between Belgium and Denmark about interconnecting our two countries, because Denmark has a huge surplus of offshore wind in the upcoming years. They could provide 10 million European households with green electricity. And so we are looking into the possibility to have a cable between our two countries to interconnect and to make use of surpluses where we have shortages. And we are also always have been an importer of electricity. And the same interconnections are with the UK, with Germany. And this we can also see at a larger scale. And we should make use of the vast potential of our seas and see them also as interconnectors and not as separators. And this could create a triple win, or as his Royal Highness said, a triple win, and even beyond a triple win. And molecules can be used or can act as an energy carrier to efficiently transport green energy throughout the world, with pipelines, with ships. And so it's through infrastructure that we can create partnerships, but don't forget that partnerships is not only about infrastructure, it's also about people. So we have to keep meeting and we have to keep talking. For example, the upcoming COP26, multilateralism, working together in such fora is very important to understand each other better and to keep fighting climate change and to create a common understanding, common projects. Climate change is man-made, so the solution will be man-made also. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Question for His Excellency Minister Tarek El Molla. Minister, what is the role of Egypt in the region as an important gas exporter? And how will gas accelerate the transition to a clean and sustainable energy future?
Yes, well, as perhaps I touched on that in my few words at the beginning, when I was saying that we are working in the with the neighboring countries, and we have established this East Mediterranean Gas Forum in order to make sure that we have good collaboration for the welfare of the whole region. We want to promote this gas in order to be let me say a reliable source of supply to Europe. At the same time, we would like to then also make good use of this resource to the countries. This source of energy, as is the choice of energy for this transition period, we thought that accelerating them and monetizing this resource with the collaboration of not only the founding countries, but also some other countries are asking to join, like the EU would like to be observer, same as the United States, Emirates, and we have also been requested from France. These countries joining us would be able to help us to develop such policies that is needed in order to make sure that we can create this value through this transition energy fuel. We've also been able to talk with and to get the support of the World Bank and the different EU financial institutes. And this is very important. And that's why when we talk about green bonds or whatever, we would like to demonstrate that we are able to develop clean energy projects and collaborate together in order to make sure that we as East Mediterranean countries or North African could together help each other in order to have sustainable transition period. At the same time, with connectivity as well, we in this geographic location, we are connected with electricity to Jordan. From Jordan, we are arranging with Saudi Arabia and Gulf countries to get also connectivity through the Gulf countries, and from the other side to Europe through Cyprus, through a undersea cable from Cyprus to Greece and Europe. So this is also an important way of connecting each other, and at the same time, we are talking about, as I was saying, having the best or among the best locations for wind on our Red Sea, as well as for sun on the Mediterranean. And this is also helping us developing with the EU some important hydrogen projects to be also exported to Europe, in addition to many other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Al-Molla. We're almost out of time. I'll invite any of the ministers to make any final comments if you want to make a final comment. I'm still getting lots of questions. Of course, Your Royal Highness, you won't be surprised to learn that our friends in the media want you to comment on oil markets and next week's meeting, but I've refrained from asking those questions to keep it on topic. But I'll throw it open if anyone wants to add something before we end the session.
If my colleagues here can permit me, just take one short half a minute, even 20 seconds. If you don't mind.
Please go ahead.
Very simple, very short, very concise. Can we congregate around the concept that we're all willing to cooperate wholeheartedly with all the ambition, with all the diligence, with all the passion that we owe it to this generation and the generations to come, that we work hard in approaching or achieving emission neutrality as soon as we can all possibly do it? I leave it for your kind gestures.
Well, I'm seeing lots of agreement with gestures, so I think there's agreement. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your kindness.
Okay, so I thank the ministers for